The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and On Location TV19 are proud to present Your Business Matters, dedicated to your business needs. The White Bear Area Chamber is a nonprofit business organization serving as an advocate for the White Bear area and its business community. Now here is the Executive Director of the White Bear Area Chamber and the host of Your Business Matters, Tom Snell.
Welcome to the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce television program, Your Business Matters. And I'm happy to have with us today a couple of fine guests, John Wayne Barker, the Executive Director of Merrick, and along with him, one of their clients, Jeremy Kelsenberg. And thank you again for coming to our program, for both of you. Appreciate this very much. And I wanted just to start our conversation with John, if I may, and ask you, what is Merrick?
Well, Merrick is a day training and habilitation and an adult day services provider that is licensed by the state of Minnesota, the Department of Human Services. And principally, we serve people who have an intellectual or developmental disability, or what used to be referred to as mental retardation. And when we can't refer to the people we serve by their first name, we refer to them as a client. And many of our clients are self-advocates, which are people who are involved in learning and in engaging in their civil rights.
Oh, interesting. So that's a part of your program then, the civil rights aspect.
The self-advocacy really is. We've become a bit of a leader in our industry in that regard. And we have about 100 folks who are actively participating as self-advocates.
And we'll get back to that, because I'm also going to ask the client a little bit about that later on in our interview. With Merrick, what are some of the things of interest that would be for our local business community? Because you mentioned you have your main headquarters, I think, are in Vadnais Heights. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then your something else is coming in North St. Paul, and we'll get to that too. But what areas do you serve the business community? What involvement have you had with our local business community?
Well, our principal location is at 3210 Labor Road in Vadnais Heights.
Okay.
And here we serve about 350 folks. And in that capacity, we are involved in purchases with our local vendors. Venberg Tire, Freedom Gas Stations, Lake Area Bank. Some of those businesses we partner with on a day-to-day basis as we manage that operation.
Okay.
And then our North St. Paul location is brand new this July. And at that location we're serving about 40 folks who are more interested in retirement type services.
Okay, when you say you partner with these companies, what do you mean by partnering?
Well, in some cases partnering is simply a customer to vendor relationship.
Okay.
And those examples I provided are those types of relationships where we're purchasing something from a local business.
Right.
Other partnerships with businesses such as MedTalks, Kowalski's Markets, and I'm trying to think of some other local ones, REI in Roseville, the University of Minnesota, Greenhouse, are companies that employ our clients.
Oh, they do. So a business can actually employ your clients then?
Yeah, that's one of the principal things that we're trying to get out as a message, is that we have a very capable workforce of clients that either can come to your location and do the work that you need to be done, or that you can outsource to our facility in Vadnais Heights.
So they could actually just come to your operation and then have either a client come in or have work done within your location for a specific company or service.
Some examples of work is you might have a client come out and do digital imaging for your company, or work bagging groceries at a grocery store.
Okay, all right.
Doing warehouse work or other types of office assistant type of work in your business. And outsourcing things to us, if you're a widget maker or you've got things that need to be packaged or kitted or collated, you might send those materials to us, and we can do that.
You know, you're a nonprofit corporation then, right?
We are a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization.
So people can contribute to your operation and with a full tax deduction.
Absolutely. In fact, we have our big fundraiser as Friday, October 12th. We'll be having our 17th annual Golden Gala out at the Prom Center. And if you're interested, we have great silent and live auction.
Wonderful.
And a dinner. And you can go to our website at merrickinc.org and find out everything you need to know about that event.
Sounds really good. Sounds really interesting. Now, your company has a list of core beliefs, I believe, and I think you have several of them listed on your website. What can you tell me about them?
Well, we have 3 core beliefs, and each
All right.
of them are phrased in an action statement. The first is self-determination, which we define as being responsible for one's choices and actions. And examples of that would be our 100 self-advocates who are working on get out the vote drives, they're meeting with their political leaders, they're learning about their civil and civic rights.
Okay,
and
good.
a new thing that they're starting to really branch out into is presenting anti-bullying programs to elementary students here locally, and that's
Bullying.
bullying.
Oh, bullying.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
So those are some examples of our self-determination belief. Another is economic fairness, which we define as a balanced action between 2 parties. And some examples of that are clients are making meaningful wages when they're doing work. We strive to provide livable wages for our employees with a benefit package. And then there's a case study that was done within the last 2 years that demonstrates that for every dollar that the state spends at Merrick, there's a $3 benefit to our local community.
Well, that's very important message to get out to people about the benefits that you offer to our community.
Yep.
Now,
and there's one more,
yeah.
just to mention that. The third is civic responsibility,
Okay.
which we define as action that contributes to the common good. And some examples of that are we have a very environmentally friendly building. For example, we have no gas furnaces there. Our heat and air conditioning is provided by a geothermal system, which is powered by the state's fourth largest solar array system. And so we have no harmful exchanges with our environment, and we're pretty self-sufficient when it comes to our heat and air conditioning. Other aspects are clients and employees involved in local food drives and holiday gift programs. And then finally, we're the fiscal agent for the local Vadnais Heights food shelf that is managed by the Vadnais Heights Lions Club.
Oh, you are.
Yep.
So you have really a broad range of things that you are doing in the community. What can you tell me about the new facility that's opening up in North St. Paul?
Well, North St. Paul is a program designed specifically for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are in their retirement years. And so they're looking for life enrichment, arts and crafts, recreational, social leisure, therapeutic type programs that improve their quality of life after they're done working. And so we could serve up to 31 people in that program. We also have designed the space for 9 people who also have intellectual or developmental disabilities, and in addition they have stage 1 or 2 of Alzheimer's dementia. And what we're learning as an industry is that the population we serve have a higher incidence rate of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Well, they do. That happens more
than the general population. So we're really pleased to be working with Ramsey County proactively to start serving these people, and we specifically chose downtown North St. Paul because it's its own little unique community that we really hope to integrate with and get involved with the people that live and work there.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. Now, just real quickly here, if there were a couple of messages that you wanted to have people take away from our interview today, what might they be?
There are 2. I think the first is that we have a very capable client workforce. And if there's a local business that's watching this show and you have a need for kitting, packaging, collating, any of those types of work, our clients can do that very, very well. We can do it on time for a competitive price at a quality job. And it provides meaningful work to a group of people that are typically underemployed. And so we really hope that we can, through programs like this and our membership with the Chamber, and other activities that we can find those business partners that will
Absolutely.
that will join us in providing this meaningful work in a very real way. We're not looking for charity or a handout. We're looking for a true business relationship.
Business relationship with people in our general community here.
Yep, absolutely. The second message is, it just so happens October is Disability Awareness Month. And I think part of that designation is to encourage citizens to reflect upon disability. And truthfully, if we look at the broadest definition of disability, I believe about 60% of us have a disability. You yourself, Tom, are wearing corrective lenses.
And I'm left-handed.
Okay, left-handed. I don't know if that qualifies, but corrective lenses would.
Okay.
And so when you look at the broadest definition of disability, again, about 60% of us have something.
Sure.
And so hopefully through disability awareness activities, we can come to a point where a disability doesn't make someone feel uncomfortable or awkward, and it doesn't interfere with the normal course of human interaction. Because truthfully, as human beings, we're more alike than different. And so we want people just to take advantage of the uniqueness that people with different abilities and disabilities add to our community as part of the fabric. And so those are the two things I'd like people to come out of this interview with.
That sounds really good, and I'm going to get back to you with some other questions, but I also wanted to talk to Jeremy a little bit here during the interview. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, Jeremy, is can you tell me a little bit about your involvement in self-advocacy, because we had talked about that a little bit earlier with the work in with Merrick.
What self-advocacy is where we learn to vote and talk about our rights and talk to our legislators and so we kind of do that stuff and
those are some of the things that you've been involved in then.
Right.
Okay.
And didn't you just completed a training
Partners
program?
in Policy Making course through the Governor's Council on Development of Disabilities. It was a 1 weekend a month for 8 month
Wonderful.
class at the down in Bloomington.
And so you've done that.
Yep.
And because you're one of the clients at Merrick, what are some of the things you like about being part of Merrick?
Well, I guess I could say one is we're like one big happy family under one roof, and Merrick helps us find. They help us find jobs and support us with transportation needs, or to get to and from work.
So those are just some of the things that you've done then with the Merrick Corporation. How long have you been with them, Jeremy?
I think I've been with them 9 years.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's a good period of time, and you've been sounds like you've been really involved with Merrick. And do you have like a dream job or something that you would really like to take away with your involvement?
Well, I have 2 dream jobs. One would be either to work on a golf course doing maintenance, or be work for the Timberwolves doing statistician work.
Well, that sounds really really interesting. Yeah, I'll get back to some other discussion with you here later on too. But I also wanted to ask you just some really interesting things about Merrick, and kind of first of all, when was it set up?
Well, Merrick actually began probably in 1958 through a program called the Twilight Club, which was a social club that met at the Merrick Community Center in the east side of St. Paul. And approximately 15 people were regular attendees of this social club.
I see.
And then in the early 60s, Ramsey County and the state of Minnesota realized that more and more people with intellectual and developmental disabilities were living in our community and needed some structure and support. And so they began programs called DT&Hs, Day Training and Habilitation Programs. So we began in 1964 and were originally located in the Merrick Community Center on St. Paul. And subsequently we moved in 1968, and then in 2003 moved into our building in Vadnais Heights.
Were there any people that are in this local area, or businesses or community groups, that were a real catalyst in getting your operation to the point where it is today? I mean, are there any folks that you can think of that really played a vital role?
Well, in the early years for the entire industry, and there are about 225 programs like Merrick in the state, serving about 16,000 people. In the early years, I'd have to acknowledge the Association for Retarded Citizens as a principal mover in providing these services, along with the counties, again recognizing that as people were discharged from state hospitals and returning to our community, that there was a need to provide some structured day services.
And there was a real movement to do that, right? I mean,
there was, in the 70s, as deinstitutionalization really hit its stride, is when you started to see the DT&H programs really come to the forefront. And originally, DT&Hs were more of a day activity center. It was purely recreational, social leisure. And it's been in the last 20 years that we've evolved, recognizing that, again, just like us in our at working age, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities want to be engaged in meaningful work. They want to get paid. And so we've had to rise to that occasion and to provide those opportunities.
I think this would be for both you and Jeremy. I think one of the things that you brought up that I find really interesting is your focus on advocacy. And on Jeremy, you mentioned the voting part,
right?
And then you also talked about the people not getting exploited when they do various functions or jobs. And when did was that something that went way back to the beginning when Merrick started, or is the whole idea of adding an advocacy portion to this something that's newer?
Well, do you want to go first or me?
Doesn't matter.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about last session? Did you go down to the legislature and talk to your...
Yep, I went with Merrick to the Capitol for the Disability Day at the Capitol, and we talked to my representative, who is Paul Gardner, and then when he lost the rate, when he decided to get out of politics, Linda Runbeck decided to become my state representative. And so then my state senator is, can't think of
John Marty?
No, can't think of his name. I have it in my wallet. I just can't think of his.
That's okay. But you spoke to both your representative and senator last session?
Yep.
And what was the important message that you...
First of all, to make sure that they believe in, that they're going to help us, to keep us from getting shut down, and make sure that we can, that we can vote, and make sure that our rights are being heard. And
so the constitutional amendment on voter rights is a big issue to our self-advocates.
They have the one, you mean with the voter identification issue is an important issue, and I would imagine that then you would be not very supportive of that initiative.
Well, I'm not an official spokesperson for the self-advocates. It's my understanding, though, that as a group they oppose the amendment because they feel it will limit their ability to participate.
Yeah. Well, I think, the other thing I want to bring up is that I think what you mentioned with the advocacy part, it's a real bipartisan view of things, taking the politics part out of it, because, and I want to know if you agree with this, because what you're doing is you're on one hand, you're saying that people that are part of your program have to have to come out with the belief that they can make accomplishments and be a very vital and productive member of our society, and that's something that I would imagine would be embraced by both people in the political process.
Yeah, we've been well received by both Democrats and Republicans. Senator Chamberlain last year was instrumental in helping get some legislation passed that was helpful to our industry. Representative Scalzi, who's now running for Senate, has always been a good friend and listened to the concerns of us as an agency and our self-advocates. And you asked the question, does self-advocacy make us a little bit different? And I think it does. We've been really active in it in the past 10 years, and that's been championed by Clean Timbers, our program director, who has really consistently stressed the importance of us as an agency listening to clients and making sure that they're empowered to make choices based on all the information and to try, and our mission statement ends with realize their goals and dreams, and that's really what we're trying to do is, if Jeremy's dream is to be a statistician or work on a golf course, how can we make that a reality?
Yeah, well, it sounds like really a wonderful opportunity and thing to do. And I want to just kind of, before we close out our interview, first of all, I want to ask you if a business is interested in having a relationship with Merrick to have some products or services done, how would they go about getting a hold of you?
Well, our website is www.merrickinc.org, and you would go there and then you'd find a link to our business partners page, and there'd be very easy ways to connect with us either by email or it'll give you a contact name and number. Yep. And we're happy to come out and take a look at your project or your job and give you a quote. And sometimes we're the right choice and sometimes we're not. But still, we'd like to at least have the conversation with as many people as possible because we're operating at about 85% capacity.
That's good, isn't it?
Well, there are days where clients aren't working as much as they'd like to, and just like us, they want to be actively engaged and making money, and so we'd like to be at 100% capacity if at all possible.
Absolutely.
So reach out to us through our website. You can call our general number 651-789-6200 and ask to talk to myself or John Crea.
Okay, you or John Crea.
Yep.
Okay. Now, with the Merrick Corporation, I went through it and it was just really a wonderful experience seeing your operation in Vadnais Heights. And I'm wondering, well, can people come and take a tour of your facility?
That's a good question. Yes, they can. We don't have an official way to schedule that. That'll come online in November. But even before November, if somebody just wants to call me, we can schedule a tour. We're pleased and happy to have people visit us. We just need to schedule and make sure somebody's there to host the tour.
And the operation in North St. Paul, when does it open?
It opened in July, and we're going to be scheduling an open house here pretty soon. And,
wonderful. And
then we can host tours there as well.
That sounds really good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate both of you coming out for our interview today. And again, this is Tom Snell from the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce. Your business matters.
You've been watching Your Business Matters. For more information on this program or the White Bear Area Chamber, visit www.whitebearchamber.com or call 651-429-8593.